I'll close with this. I was in New Orleans this weekend for the NBA All-Star Game, and among those on hand was one of President Trump's favorite Twitter sparring partners, the Dallas Mavericks owner, Mark Cuban. The president recently tweeted that Cuban wasn't smart enough to be president. Cuban's retort? Look at him right there, wearing a jersey with the number 46 in a celebrity basketball game. Remember, President Trump is the 45th president. So is 46 there, Mark Cuban, preparing to challenge Donald Trump in 2020? Cuban told anyone who asked, no, no, no. Said it with a smile, too. Said he was just looking to stir things up and get under the president's skin.
I think Donald Trump is an immediate and present danger to the security of this country.
I'm Mark Cuban, I'm owner of the Dallas Mavericks, and you probably know me as being the wild man who gets in trouble with the NBA. My business.
Mark Cuban. He is, of course, an outspoken opponent of President Trump. He says he is seriously considering a run for the presidency in 2020. Just yesterday, Cuban tweeted this to President Trump: "When will you address the exploding cost of college and the problem of student debt?" He's on the attack.
President Trump says that when we do get a recovery, it's going to be a fast one, a V shape, sharp down, sharp up. Here he is talking about that.
I think we can get more than back to normal from an economic standpoint, actually be better, but more than back to normal. I think we're going to go like a rocket ship once we get back to business. There's a lot of pent-up energy and demand.
Do you see a quick recovery, or do you think it's going to be a little bit slower than that?
I wish he was right, but he's not. I have my Trump hedge on. In the event Donald wins, I have no doubt in my mind the market tanks. And so I literally have put on a more than 100% hedge. Really? That I'll put on stronger.
How do you respond, Mr. Trump?
Well, I know Mark, and, you know, the problem with Mark, he's not smart enough to understand what we're doing. He's really not smart enough, in my opinion, to really understand what's going on. I've known him for a long time. He's tweets me all the time. He's sent me so many different tweets and calls me, although I must say not over the last number of months, because I said, look, he'll send out so many tweets. I'll have to send you all of the Mark Cuban tweets and conversations. But Mark is not, I really believe, not smart enough to understand what's going on. He's a mixed-up guy.
What is it about you and this political season that's got you so fired up?
Because I think our future's at stake. I have 3 young kids, and I couldn't look them in the eye and feel good about their future.
Okay, you are very vocal on Twitter, a huge critic of Donald Trump, especially most recently you're challenging Trump to a 4-hour interview. In a series of tweets you said this, you said $10 million to the charity of your choice if you let me interview you for 4 hours on your policies and their substance.
I've known him for a long time. He's tweets me all the time. He's sent me so many different tweets and calls me.
And then you sweeten the deal. You'll write him a check if he needs it, instead of going to charity in case he needs the money.
Right.
What's his response?
None. I wanted to make a point that I don't think he understands his policies. I don't think he understands or knows the details that go behind them from whoever's giving him his policies.
Mark Cuban is a famous billionaire. He owns the Dallas Mavericks. He hosts a very popular TV show. Now he may want to be president. He recently said he's considering a run in 2020. If he does, he said he'll run as a Republican, potentially mounting a primary challenge to President Trump. What kind of president would Mark Cuban be? So there's been a massive increase in wealth at the top end. Meanwhile, the middle classes remain stagnant. Is that a problem?
No question.
And what would you do about it?
I don't think he understands his policies. I don't think he understands or knows the details that go behind them from whoever's giving him his policies. I decreased payroll taxes significantly so that money, instead of having every hour taxed as it is now, that money would go right into the hands of the people who need it the most. We have 77,000 people who get paid by the hour. We're ignoring them.
Well, I mean, that would definitely put money in people's pockets. How would you pay for the entitlements they use?
The entitlements in terms of which entitlements?
I don't think he understands his policies. I don't think he understands or knows the details.
Well, I mean, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, all that. With less tax revenue, like, how would you fund that stuff?
Well, obviously, that's a challenge right now, and we need to find ways to reduce the cost of those entitlements while maintaining the same level of care. So I don't see a V-shaped recovery, but I have no doubt in my mind that we'll come back and be stronger than ever, but it's not going to happen immediately.
You were pals with Donald Trump, two rich guys, friendly rivals maybe. He had The Apprentice, you started The Benefactor. Why did you decide to turn on him?
Well, I never really turned on him early on, right? We just had a little rivalry, and that was fun, and, you know, it was just for yucks. But once he decided to run, I actually was very positive about him at the beginning. I thought he was candid, open, honest. But, you know, at some point, you have to dig in and learn the issues. And, you know, I told him specifically, you've got to understand what you're talking about. And I think that's where he fell short. The entitlements in terms of which entitlements?
It seems like you kind of resent Donald Trump.
No, I don't resent Donald Trump at all.
See, now that's some bullshit.
No, I don't resent Donald Trump at all.
If this race would be even tighter if Donald Trump knew when to shut up, right? He was so close to the presidency, and during the debates and post-debates and many times, you know, many other times, all he had to do was not say something ridiculous, and he couldn't do it.
So, Mark, the president on Tuesday is going to name this council about bringing America back economically and putting us back to work. Would you like to be on that council or be considered?
Yep. Hey, any way I can serve my country, I'm all in. Yes. If they ask me to, I'd be happy to.
No, no, no.
Sometimes the president watches tonight, and I know he's not allowed to do much because we're all sheltering in place. So maybe he heard that and he'll call you. Lastly, the small business. I hope so too, because the one thing I noticed, no matter which show you're on, whether it's radio, TV, sports, or news, you're putting the country first. I have no idea how you stand politically, and I think that's why people look at your track record, look at your resume, look at your success, and they got to call your number.
Look at him right there, wearing a jersey with the number 46. He was just looking to stir things up and get under the president's skin.